Good morning, internet family. Happy Saturday. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. So I've got something that's a little difficult for me to figure out how to put into words today, but the Lord's calling me to talk about this, so we're going to talk about this. I'm sure we all have vices, little things that we do that maybe they help us in some way, they fulfill us in some way, they numb us in some way, or little things that we've held on to from our past that we just can't seem to let go of. Whatever they are, everybody's got a vice. If it's from a cup of coffee every single day to where it's a caffeine addiction, which sounds silly, but just bear with me, to whatever the larger things may be, drug addiction, pornography addiction, adultery, whatever it may be, and anywhere in between. We've all got something, because none of us are perfect. We're not saints because we act like saints. We're saints because of Jesus' blood. So I have, these last few months have been a ride for me, to say the least. I have thrown away many vices. I have changed my thinking in many ways. I have grown a lot, and in that shifting, there's been a lot of stress, because when you shift and when you're transformed, there tends to be stress on the things that are shifting and stress on the rest of everything too. Everything's kind of having to fall back into place in a different way, and if I'm not careful, I wind up letting old things back in, and that's what I've wound up doing. There's a couple of things that I'm dealing with now that are back, that have been gone for a long time, that I haven't even thought of, let alone struggled with in a long time. And none of these things that I'm getting rid of or that have come back in are anything to condemn myself for, to be condemned for. And in a culture, worldly perspective, they're not even a big deal, but to me they are, So this morning, as I was battling with something that's back, and it was so simple just to not do it, and I did it anyway. And then after it was all said and done, and I'm just like beating myself up, I'm just wallowing in shame briefly, but I did. And the Lord spoke to me in that moment, and this is how He used it. And it was so beautiful how, even in my failures and my mistakes, He uses those things for His glory and for my benefit. So what He whispered to me very tenderly, and that's the thing about His correction, is it's always tender. It doesn't matter how much He's calling me out and how much He's actually, convicting me. It never hurts. It always feels good. But what He said was, what's the difference in this thing and your doubt? Ooh. So there's several things I've got going on in my life right now that involve a lot of faith and a lot of trust in a God who loves me and will always provide for me and will never lead me in the wrong direction, and will do things in my life that give Him glory. And the funny thing I'm learning about that is that for Him to do something in anyone's life that gives Him glory, typically that person is going to have to look a little crazy for a little while in order for Him to show His glory and His miraculous provision, or whatever it is that He's doing, in order for Him to really, really get glorified and for the world to see Him. That person might have to look crazy or hit rock bottom. Something is going to have to take place and probably happen for a while that is going to be painful for the person that He's using to glorify Himself. Now, where was I at? I went off on a tangent. Oh yeah, doubt. So, as I meditated on this throughout the next however long it's been since then, all morning, and this has been burning in me too, I was able to come up with other things, that also were the same concept: bitterness, resentment, fear, anger, self-sufficiency. There's so many other things that can be compared to the things that we know to be wrong. We know that we're not supposed to go and do drugs. We know that we're not supposed to go and commit adultery. We know we're not supposed to go kill people. We know we're not supposed to steal. We know all those things. But the point that He was making to me this morning, and it wasn't to condemn me, it was just to remind me that number one, I don't need to feel so much shame for this one thing, because it's not in his eyes any worse than anything else. What that thing is, in his perspective, is spiritual warfare. It's me being tempted, and even though he doesn't allow for any of us to be tempted beyond what we can bear, he knows that we're human, and he knows that we're weak, and there's no difference in me falling weak to that than there is in me falling weak to a moment of doubt. Now, as human beings in our culture today, we justify doubting, but we won't justify falling into something as much as we would doubting. We can say, well, it's understandable that you would fear. It's understandable that da 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 da. Okay, yes, it is, but all of it's understandable, the same as anything else is, and God says the same about all of it. There's no sin that's any less or any more than anything else. It's all weakness. It's all weakness is all it is. But when we're weak, he gets to be strong. That's the thing, is if we're never weak, he doesn't get to be strong in us. So if we're never weak, he doesn't get to show his glory through us. So why would he want a perfect person who never succumbs to any temptation, who never falls, never falters in anything? Well, if he had a bunch of those running around, he would never be glorified, because nobody would ever need anything from him. Nobody would ever need a miracle. Nobody would ever need a transformation. So when we're weak, here comes God showing up and showing out like he always does. And when we're weak, but the thing about that is we have to confess. We have to admit what we're doing is not godly. We have to admit that where we're at is not what God has for us. It's not God's best for us. And we have to admit that in our own strength, we actually don't have the power to get out of there. In our own strength, we don't have the willpower to stick with it. We are not able. We may not even know what to do. We may not even know anything besides a small feeling inside of us that says, maybe this isn't right. But he can use that. He can use that, and he will use that. So what I'm hearing from him today, what I'm learning today, is that first of all, there's no need to ever feel shame. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if Lord forbid this, if I went out today and relapsed and went on a 10-year binge. It wouldn't matter. That would be no reason to feel shame, even though I'm sure I would, because that's our nature. There's no reason to feel shame any more than our moments of doubt, our moments of fear, our moments of uncertainty, when we have a God who's promised us so much. We know, we should anyway, that he's going to come through. And if something falls through for us, it's not because it falls through, it's because God has a better plan for us, and that's not what he meant for us for a reason, because he's looking out for us, and he's providing his best for us by letting that certain thing fall through. So in those moments of whatever extreme failure you're doing, extreme mess up, sin, whatever it is, to the moments of doubt and everywhere in between, there's never a reason to feel shame. Instead, our reaction, our response, it could be and should be to look at God, not to look at ourselves. Because if we look at ourselves, especially in those moments, we're gonna feel dirty, we're gonna feel shame, we're gonna feel less than, we're gonna feel unworthy, we're gonna feel hopeless. The list goes on. But those are the things that I feel when I look at myself in those moments where I'm not good enough in my behavior. And let's face it, though, I'm usually not. When I look at my behavior, I'm usually not good enough, but that's not my identity. That's not who I am, and that's not the way that God sees me. So if we choose to look to God instead of ourselves in those moments where we're falling short, if we choose to look to the King of the universe, to our good Father, he's a good Father. We look to him, and we instead of looking at our dirtiness and our unworthiness and our weakness and our failures, we will instead see our good Father who loves us, who chose us, who provides for us, who cares for us, and our shepherd who's going to show us the way. He's always going to show us the way. He's going to bring us back into the fold. He's going to clean us all up. He's going to love on us, and he's going to keep us on the right path. So it depends on what we look at in those moments. Whatever the disappointment that you have in yourself is, whatever the thing is that you've done today, whatever the thing is that you're going to do tomorrow, because if you're anything like me, and I'm sure you are, you're also going to do something tomorrow, probably the next day, and probably the next day, and so on and so forth, that is less than satisfying to you, and probably also to our Father. But he doesn't care. As long as you come back into him, talk to him about it, come back to him, jump up in his arms, let him wash you clean, let him put you on the right path, let him feed you and clothe you and send you on the right way as he stays stays with you and leads you. And that's the point. That is the whole point of salvation and redemption, and the relationship that we have with our Father. No matter what we do, no matter what comes our way to tempt us, no matter what kind of spiritual warfare we're under and how much we're falling weak, none of it actually matters. As long as we're looking to the Father, it's actually going to strengthen us. It's going to bring us so much closer to Him. We're going to see His heart more than we ever have. We're going to feel His love more than we ever have. And we're going to have more momentum and more motivation to walk on the path that He has purposed us for. As long as we can turn to Him instead of feeling shame in those moments. So I hope that this is as revelationary for someone else as it was for me, and I hope that's a word too. I just hope this changes someone's day today, someone's life maybe even, like it is mine. Lean into the love of the Father. No need to feel shame. You guys have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. I love you all.